To week 11. The season is flying of GPP Elite and Masters. This one's coming a little late, doing it from home. A little bit of extra research required this week, so I've been kind of cranking away. Excited about the DraftKings FanDuel merger. I think that's going to mean bigger GPPs, more GPPs for all of us, and we'll see how it all goes. But this season, I don't expect anything to change or be different. So let's get right down to it. Week 11. Starting off with quarterbacks. As you know, we always go through the quarterbacks we like first and build our teams with quarterbacks, stack, then defense. Make sure you go to GPPMaster.com and go through the 10 commandments and really read up on the strategy. So this week, quarterbacks, Tom Brady. Again, I say it every week since he came back. I'm playing him until he proves me wrong. This is an interesting week because San Francisco is the worst run defense in the history of the NFL. I said that last week, and we saw what happened. Okay, there. And here we are again. LeGarrette Blount, 12 touchdowns, leads the league. Okay, and here we go off to San Francisco where you could think Blount could have 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. But Tom Brady's going home. He is talking on the radio here. This is the game he has circled and been waiting for his entire career to play in front of his family and 50-plus friends. He's a little banged up. He's limping from last week, his cheap hit by Chancellor. But he said on the radio today, I can't wait to go home and tear it up. And I would expect he is going to come out and fire until he leaves that game, if at all. So while I'm a little concerned about Blount, so you may want to play James White with Brady to get that offset if you get the kind of running back thing. I expect Brady to come out gunning in front of his hometown friends and family. And at $7,800, we keep riding Brady till we're wrong. Next, looking at Big Ben. I think I'll have a share of Big Ben in one lineup because Cleveland is the 32nd everything. Run defense, pass defense, they're terrible. And, this is a game where Ben could absolutely go deep a few times to Antonio Brown, but this is also a game where Le'Veon Bell could run. So because of the potential blowout, because of the running game potential against Cleveland, this is a game I'll use Ben one time. And we'll come back to Le'Veon Bell in a little bit. One of my favorite plays of the week is Andrew Luck. He struggled against Tennessee over the last few years. For some reason, it's been a hard game. But that over-under is 52.5. By the way, the Patriots over-under with Brady, 51.5. 52.5. Luck is cheaper at $7,200. And I just think he is coming off a bye week, and he's going to absolutely crush it this week. You got to have him. You got to ride him. We'll talk about who we're going to stack him with later. And then on the flip side of that game, Mariota is on fire. I worry a little bit because Indy's run defense is terrible, and this is going to be a DeMarco Murray game to some degree. So I like Luck better, but I'll probably play both Mariota and Luck in at least one lineup in that game. So Kirk Cousins has been on fire. The Redskins are the third best passing offense in the NFL, and Green Bay's defense is a mess. Green Bay is a mess. The game's in Washington. Right now, Cousins and Crowder are one of the hottest tandems in the NFL. They are on fire, and I will play Cousins in one lineup at $5,800 against Green Bay. Green Bay's defense is middle of the pack here, and on the flip side of that, again, high over/under in this game. Green Bay is a mess. You have Josh Norman, who's probably going to be on Jordy, but you probably should have one lineup if you're playing like a $4 million two tournament on DraftKings. You probably want one lineup. $3 tournament. One lineup with Aaron Rodgers in that game. So a couple sleepers. Andy Dalton against the middle of the pack Bills defense. It tends to get overrated because of Rex Ryan. A.J. Green, Dalton stack. Have one. They could go off anytime. Coming off a bye at home. It's risky, but in a $3 or a $4 GPP, you do that. Eli against Chicago. Again, Eli and Beckham, Eli and Shepard. We'll come back to Shepard. Maybe a double stack with those two guys. The Bears, also a team in disarray, middle of the pack defense. Eli's playing really, really well. So that is it on the quarterback front. Again, my favorites there are Luck, Brady, Cousins, and then probably Mariota, Manning, with scattering the other guys throughout. So let's go to wide receiver quickly. Let's talk the stacks first. I'm going to stack Luck with Hilton at home. T.Y.'s a different receiver in Indy than he is in the road and in the dome. Moncrief, I don't love his ceiling. He's going to be a go-to. He's going to have a touchdown. He's got a low floor. He's got a good floor, but he just doesn't have a huge ceiling like T.Y. who can bring it home in one big play. So I'm going to focus on a Luck Hilton stack. I'm going to focus on a Mariota stack with probably Matthews and Walker double. Cousins and Crowder. I said it there. I said it again. I'm not going to do Jordy Reed. I'm going to go Cousins, Crowder until they prove me wrong. Those guys are on fire. Rodgers, I'm going to stay away from Jordy because of Josh Norman. Even though Jordy's been on fire, I think he will be the chalk of the Packers anyway. And I will go with Cobb or Adams. If I do both, probably both Cobb and Adams. Let's see. Andy Dalton and Green, we talked about. Brady, I'm going to stack Brady with Bennett. I'm going to stack Brady with Edelman, and I might stack Brady with White. 3 Bradys. Like all 3 of them. And again, the risk in that game is they run, 28 times for 160 yards and 3 touchdowns with Blount. But that's why they call them GPPs. A couple other receivers. At some point, if you take Blake Bortles and Allen Robinson every week, at some point they're going to go off. Bortles, I've watched him a lot. I have him in my season-long league. He looks awful. But Detroit's a good matchup, so I think you can have Allen Robinson in a lineup as a receiver. I like Terrell Pryor. The Steelers, $5,600, and the Steelers are not a good pass defense. They are a bottom 6 pass defense, and that game could be a blowout, and you could see Cleveland throwing all over the field in that game. And my guess is Cody Kessler gets yanked, Josh McCown comes in, and then Pryor becomes, at play. And the other thing about Pryor in that game is he can always throw a ball, he can run a ball, and he's pretty cheap. Crowder, we talked about. Ty Hill. So the Tampa Bay pass defense is terrible. Jeremy Maclin's going to be out. You could actually do an Alex Smith, Ty Hill, Kelsey stack if you wanted to do one more there, a quarterback. But Hill is at $4,500, a good fill-in guy. Then the 2 guys I like below $4,000 this week are Tyler Lockett. So I was at the Patriots game against Seattle, and Lockett ate the Patriots alive. He's getting healthy. He's dangerous. He's fast. He's cheap here. And Baldwin's going to be the chalk on that team. And Tyler Lockett's starting to come on here. And, he's one big play from making your day. And then $3,900, Sterling Shepard. Again, I like Shepard and OBJ in the Giants game, but Shepard's coming on. He's been really put on a nice floor the last 3 weeks. And I like him there. All right, so we're going to change things up this week. I have said every week you can't fade Brady and you can't fade Zeke Elliott. And Zeke Elliott, last week I was adamant, play Zeke Elliott. Play Elliott. And play the top backs. This week, I'm going to roll the dice and go off the grid a little bit and fade Zeke against Baltimore. Number 1 run defense. Not that I don't think Zeke can't have a great game, but if it's going to be a game he's a little slowed down, this would be it, and there's too many other good choices. The other guy I'm fading is Rob Kelly and the Redskins. Love the Redskins to throw the ball in that game, but Green Bay is really strong against the run. Kelly's very unproven. DeMarco Murray, like him, 8,200. My concern in that game, look, he's a beast. Indy's run defense is terrible, but that game may turn into a throwing shootout between Luck and Mariota, and that would diminish Murray a little bit. Le'Veon Bell, same thing, right? Cleveland's terrible at everything. You think Bell should have 170 yards, catch 7 receptions, and 3 touchdowns. So you got to have him in some lineups. And I think you'll see David Johnson lower owned against Minnesota. Minnesota's struggling, and they are not what they were at the beginning of the year. So David Johnson's pretty matchup proof, like Elliott, like DeMarco, like Le'Veon. You can play him against Minnesota and may grab him on a week that he's lower owned and he's under $8,000. Anytime you can get David Johnson under $8,000, you do it. My favorite 2 running backs of the week are, Todd Gurley, $5,000 against Miami. Miami's run defense, 30th in the NFL. It's terrible. Gurley is obviously had a rough season, but they're starting to throw the ball. Kenny Britt's doing well. This is the game that Gurley could go off. And when he does, and you own him, and he's low owned, he's going to give you a chance to cash big time. So if you're going to give him a shot, this is the week to do it, and you can save some money and pile up a little bit at receiver. And similarly, Spencer Ware this week, $6,000 versus the 23rd Tampa run defense. Again, Tampa's pass defense is awful. But I think Gurley and Ware would be a great running back tandem this week, and you'll find them pretty low owned. And you could get Gurley at under 10%, even under 5%. And he's playing better than people think he is. He's not that first round top 3 draft choice in traditional leagues that everybody thought, but he's playing better each week. And this is the week he could go off. And you got to take chances. Other than that, again, Blount and James White. Blount at 64, White at 48. Worth a shot if you, especially Blount outside of a Brady lineup. And Shady McCoy, he may go low owned against the Bengals on the road, a little hurt. He's as good as the top 4 guys. He's in the school of Bell and all these guys. So, like Shady McCoy. Moving on the tight end quickly here. 4 guys. Travis Kelce with Macklin out against a weak Tampa defense. Alex Smith likes his tight ends. 4,300. Kelce could have 2 touchdowns and 80, 90, 100 yards in this game. Julius Thomas, 31st defense against the tight end for the Lions. Julius Thomas, obviously a really strong player, not having a killer year, but this is a game that he could be the guy who gives Bortles his confidence back, and he's pretty cheap at 3,500. And then I said this, Marty Bennett, especially if Gronk is out, love Marty Bennett for Brady at 3,600 in a game that Brady may throw 7 touchdowns. He may come out and just, in front of his family, throw 7 touchdowns. And I said it last week, and he had a lot of targets. First game back, Ladarius Green, $2,500. Big Ben loves his tight ends. Ladarius Green's a beast. $2,500. You can save a lot of money with that, and he was targeted several times last week for anyone who watched that game. On the defensive front, I'm playing the Giants at 3,600 against the Bears without Alshon Jeffrey. Jay Cutler is a walking turnover. He gets strip sacked. He always loses the ball if he's hit from behind. He throws stupid picks, and he's without his best receiver. And the Giants have a really good run defense. So Jordan Howard's not a great play. So the Giants could feast on Cutler in this game, especially without Jeffrey. And at 3,600 bucks, I do think they'll be pretty well owned, but they won't be the chalk. KC probably will be a little cheaper. Phenomenal, phenomenal defense at home. Tampa worries me a little bit, though, because, you have Mike Evans, you have Cameron Brate, Winston can run for a touchdown. So, while I love Kansas City at home, and their defense may be the best in the league, and they're good for a touchdown, but probably in that game, they'll probably be highly owned. And the third one, they're the most expensive defense, so I don't love that. But, I do think Seattle at home, it's a pretty good play in this week in that game. So, week 11, GPP, let's bring home the money. We have been doing great. Our members are writing us. We sent out those testimonials. We have multiple new members win money this week in cash, and tweet us and tell us that. I'm feeling good. This is a week I feel good. Last week was great, and I'm feeling good about this week. We've had 2 good weeks in a row.